welcome to This Stuff. My name is Nat.
And my name is Ossie. And this week we're doing what we're doing. We're doing our top 5 flags.
Flags. And I should point out that you, Ossie, are a flag fan.
Yeah.
Whereas I am kind of ambivalent about flags. And I've chosen my flags on a kind of very instinctual level. I've gone through flags of the world, which I've realised as well in hindsight is probably quite limiting. I haven't thought of other flags that may have been left out that represent other things. So I might have limited myself, and you might see the limits showing through. But my flags that I've chosen are based on sort of flags of countries from around the world.
Yeah, I mean, mine are too. I did look at some fictional flags, and I looked at flags that are defunct, because obviously there's been a lot of flags that are no longer current. But I still think...
yeah, that's fine, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, that's fine. Any flag is fine, I think. But I still, in my top 5 are currently in use flags from this planet.
I think mine are as well. I think they are. But yeah, it was a good fun thing. I think I've approached it more on the level of design and just what appeals to my eye.
I think that's the best thing. You're not a vexillologist.
No, I don't believe I am.
No. I mean, you can get tested for it, but from Vexillum, the square Roman flag that Roman legionnaires would carry.
Okay, yeah. And you've always been a flag fan?
Yeah, I think I have. I mean, I collected stamps when I was like 8 or 9, sort of thing, and that it's, you know, it's all about. I always had that attitude to maps and places in the world and learning the names of places and the capitals and that kind of thing. But so I would tie it more to flags. So I'm way more likely to know the flag of a country than, say, the shape of the country or exactly where it is. Well, I might know that too. Sure. But like, yeah, I really like flags. There's some flags behind me, because if you go to Stamford's, right? So you go in Stamford's in London is this classic map shops. I don't know, a couple of 100 years old or something, and on their top floor, they used to just have a selection of small flags for sale, and they didn't have everything, but it would be like this. It would be I don't know, like £1.50 or something. And it's, to me, it'd just go in there and be like, I don't need anything. Oh, I'll buy a small flag. Big fan of that. Just so what am I going to get today? Ethiopia. And that's a good flag.
Was it like when you go into shops that have like sort of like a Clinton's cards, and they sometimes have like block names of like names that are quite common? And as a kid growing up, like, I knew there was never going to be a Nathaniel one.
Tell me about it.
But they would have like Sam. Yeah. There wouldn't be an Aussie either, and if there was, it wouldn't be spelt the same way. Was it like that? Well, there's some flags.
It was kind of like that. Like, they'd have all the obvious ones. You go like, oh, I bet that's a good seller. You know, a solid seller, an American flag in a touristy part of London, solid seller. But then there'd be ones where you'd be like, okay, that's interesting. And those are generally the ones I buy. Like, I've got a Peru. That's you'd think that's well down the list of flags that you'd have in stock in your map shop.
Though I wonder if you went to the guy in Stamford's, whether he would be like, oh, you'd be surprised. He'd probably got like a rundown of them all.
Yeah,
he'd be a good person.
Maybe they were the best sellers. We should get.
He'd be a good guest.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I don't know. I haven't found. I don't think I've located the small flags in the new Stamfords now that they've moved into the swanky new buildings on the other side of Longacre. But they've got more space, so they could have more flags. And I know they have an ordering service where you can just order big flags. You know, big ones for putting in your window of your flat. You know, I'm a big fan of that. When you walk around London, you just see people have put like a Ghanaian flag in their window. There's one near me which is a Uruguayan flag in the window, and I always think, like, it's been there for like the whole time I've lived here. So like, what's that, like 8 years or something? Always in the window, Uruguayan flag, ground floor, front room, brilliant.
I don't own any flags myself. In fact, I technically do, because I bought a copy of the film The Great Escape a few years ago, and it was obviously one that when it come out on DVD, it obviously come out at the same time as like an England game or something. So it included like a cross of St. George on it. Well, I've never displayed it.
What, folded up in the box kind of thing?
Folded up in the box, yeah.
What a thing! Get your get your Great Escape with free flag. Whoa.
Yeah. But it's also one of those weird films where even though it has like a lot of English and British people in the cast, it is like the sort of the main guys in it are still Americans. It's not a film I think, oh yeah, what a super British film made in Hollywood by the American director John Sturges. Doesn't strike me as like a super.
It's just one of
Like,
those ones that's been adopted as like an English thing, like
yeah,
it's
and the theme as well, isn't it?
the
Played at
theme
like
is played
England
at
games
football
and
games,
things.
England football games. The awful England band plays it on repeat for like the entire match.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
Don't get me wrong. I think the film's great.
Yeah,
I think it's a great
film.
movie.
It's a great film.
Love the film.
Not such a great flag. Who wants to start? Who's going to start?
I think maybe I should start because I think you're the flag man, so it seems appropriate that you would have your number one at the top of the show.
Yeah, I'll be the flag bearer, and yeah, hopefully this won't go too long, and you won't be flagging.
Yes. Yeah. I'll flag this up right now. We could do that, and there's probably a few we can get away with, all with the word flag in it.
Yeah.
My number 5 is a big one, I think. Greece.
I'm just waving my Greek flag.
There it is. There it is.
My Greek
you could
flag.
hold it up for people. What I like about it, if you hold it up, yeah, as you say, there's 9 horizontal stripes of blue and white, and in the top left-hand corner is a canton with a cross on it, which represents the sort of Orthodox Christianity. And what I find very pleasing about it is the way that they sort of not complement each other. They act in opposition. The crosses in the canton act in opposition to the colours on the side, and I find that just a very pleasing bit of design.
Yeah, it's very nicely lined up. It's very when you have these crosses with something else flags, you know, crosses going over color or something, you want to keep it 2 color. I really do think you do want to keep it 2 color. I think is it Denmark that has 3 colors? No, it's Finland. I get confused. Norway has 3 colors. Anyway, whatever. No, yeah, Finland is blue and white. Denmark is red and white. Norway is like blue, red, and white, I think. But you just keep it simple.
Yeah, and it's got a nice bit of horizontal, vertical going on. It's a very pleasing one, and it's a flag that I was familiar with. But when I was narrowing things down, it was always in there. It was always in the list, and I went, I just like it. I think it's a nice looking flag.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Greek flag. Doesn't make my top 5, but it's I'm a big fan of the flag. Big fan of the country. My partner grew up there. We take the kids there, see the family, and though they're not Greek, my eldest has a Greek flag towel, the kind of towel that kids get that you can wear over your head over a hood, that, you know, tourists buy. And I'm very fond of it. When, you know, it's one thing having that in Greece on a holiday, but when you just go into like the local swimming bars in North London, I'm really big fan of having the Greek flag out. Sometimes Greek people,
yeah, because also
Greek people will comment and be like, "Yeah, good."
Yeah, I mean, we should point out as well that the flags we've chosen are not necessarily saying anything about our opinions or otherwise of the countries involved. It's and in fact, I try to be completely remove any kind of opinion from anything. There was some that looked. There was one. I can't think who it was. That you'd probably know what it was. That has a kind of a really like weird image, which is like a 2-headed eagle. Do you know what flag
Albania?
that is? I think it was Albania. Yeah,
black on,
and I liked
black on
it,
red.
but it was also. Yeah, I thought it was unusual, but I was also a bit like, nah, it looks too like, it just looks a bit Nazi-ish, and I went, I find eagles and things a bit much. So in that way, but that again, there's different types of aesthetics that do add up to me whether I choose it. So I think in a way, I think that's a cool design, but it sort of I associate eagles and things where I just go, I kind of don't like the idea of that being on a flag. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. And yeah, as an image, it is nice. So I guess having said it is all design, there must be something about these designs that do make me pick some over another.
My number 5 is the flag of TNT, Trinidad and Tobago, which is a flag that you will see flying a lot around Finsbury Park, where I've lived the last 30 years, because we have a big, or at least we did have, it's dwindling, I think, but big Trinidadian population. And just on the corner of the road, just around the corner from my parents' house, where they live now, was the TNT Association. And when you'd have like a big national day for Trinidad, everyone would be in the backyard there having a beer and a barbecue and playing music and having the flags of bunting, TNT flag bunting, especially the time when they made the World Cup, which was pretty astonishing. I think until Iceland did, I think they were the smallest team to make the World Cup, smallest country. It's a red flag with a diagonal band from the staff side top down to the flying side on the other side, in black with thin white lines on either side of it. There's not many flags with black, white, and red, and in all design, everything. I'm a massive fan of black, white, and red as a free color combo. Also, a kind of sash, a diagonal line across is also rare. Is it the only one? It may be the only flag with just a diagonal line across it. I'd have to check, but I'm a big fan of it, and it was adopted in 1962 after independence from the UK, designed by a guy called Carlisle Chang, and it symbolizes the sun. The red and white symbolize the sun and courage, earth representing dedication, and water representing purity and equality. I assume the water is white.
Right.
They probably do have very clear waters around Trinidad and Tobago.
Something I was interested in when you're talking about I would say first that it's a handsome flag, and it was one of the ones that was on a long list at one point where I was, oh yeah, that's nice. It's quite interesting going through a list because it's nice that some you can just dismiss as rubbish, rubbish, nice, nice. And it was definitely on my long list. When you were saying it was in bunting, you see it in bunting. Is that the triangular bunting or a rectangle bunting?
I've only seen it on the rectangle, because if it was triangular, I don't know how you'd orient it. I don't know where you'd put the diagonal line.
Exactly. I think I would find it very ugly on a triangular bit of bunting.
Yeah, it doesn't
fit uncomfortably.
Doesn't lend itself to triangular bunting. I mean, some flags are great on triangular bunting. You want a bit of Cuban flag on your triangular bunting. Oh, yeah. Lovely stuff.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, no, you're not against triangular bunting.
Some flags on triangular bunting, I'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, Union Jack is often on a triangular bunting. It looks okay, but Trinidad and Tobago, no. But it is a superb flag, and again, it's that does have a personal connection to me. That could be one of the flags of Finsbury Park. If we had a big, flag area in the park, we could fly the flag of the three boroughs that meet in Finsbury Park. We could fly Haringey, Islington, and Hackney, and then we could fly the flags of all the communities that we have a lot of in the area. But there'll be an absolute ton of flags. But yeah, to me, growing up, it was like a lot of Trinidadian people in the area, and they love their flag. They know it's a good flag. You know what I mean? Like, they know it.
They think above and beyond some air of sort of national pride, they're also flying it because they're going, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there's countries where they're like, I don't want to fly the flag. I mean, I feel like that about the Union Jack, really. I think I'm not into it.
Sure.
If I fly the Union Jack, I feel like I'm, doing a disservice to the Welsh. And if I flew the George Cross, I would feel like I was being a English nationalist. I don't, we need a London flag with I've got an idea for a London flag, right? London flag would just be grey, like a dark grey.
Okay.
But with a turquoise Thames line, wiggly line, like EastEnders closing credits, running across the middle of it. That would be it. Just grey.
Okay.
It's London, it's grey.
Okay, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it in the next stage. But it sounds all right. I don't know about grey.
Well,
but maybe. I'd have to see it.
You have to justify it being any other colour when it's London, I think.
Yeah, no, maybe that's right. Maybe that's right. It could look quite nice,
Could be
actually.
white, but I'm not a fan of a solid white flag. Look at Cyprus; it's indistinct
Mm.
on a white background. It doesn't show up. Anyway, that's my number 5, TNT.
Okay. My number 4 is the Seychelles.
Yeah.
And the colours blue, yellow, red, white, green, in that order, are all shooting out from the bottom left hand corner, the very bottom left hand point, into a sort of, it's not a rainbow, it's all kind of, what do you call it?
It's like
Almost
rays
shooting
of
out
it's like
in
rays of light or something.
exactly rays. What did they call it when I looked it up? I tried to find it, a word for that. Green from the point. No, that was it. They like, I think it's people struggle to identify it, but yeah, certainly, yeah. From that point, you can kind of imagine it very much like, yeah, sunrise coming out from that corner, all shooting off, very satisfying. And apparently, they have used 3 flags since their independence from Britain in 1976, and this is the third one, which has been in use since 1996. So it's stayed the longest, and you can kind of see why. They've tried out a few and they've been a bit like, between 73 and 96, there's a lot of people going, no. And that's a good, that proves what we were saying before, where there's a lot of countries that have a flag and they don't rate them.
Yeah.
And even the people that live there are like, nah. And then they do something else and they go, nah. And 96 feels to me like it's recent history, but we've got to remember that is a quarter of a century ago at time of record.
Yep.
And so they are now, given that they had 2 others between 73 and 96, a 23-year period, this has stayed twice as long as either of their other 2. And you can see why, because it's a banger. They've absolutely nailed it, I think. Well done, the Seychelles.
Yeah, I think any vexillologists watching will be getting vex right now, because
Yeah. Yes.
the reason why they've had the three flags in that time is the first flag was just the flag of the ruling party of the Seychelles, and then another party took over and made their flag the flag of the Seychelles, and the current flag is combining the colors of both parties, the 2 parties, into one flag. Which there's no reason why that should give off a good flag. Like, that should be reason for having a bad flag. Like, why did this be?
I was going to say,
Instead,
it doesn't sound.
Someone's gone, okay, I'll take those 5 colors and I'll make this beautiful kind of, ray of light thing. It's a beautiful flag.
Great flag.
Beautiful flag. I don't know much about the Seychelles at all, except that people go on holiday there.
Yeah, exactly what I know about it. It's probably a nice place to go on holiday. Quite sunny, I imagine.
I'd even struggle to find it on a map.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
My number 4 is somewhere people go on holiday as well, but I could find it on a map, is Barbados. Barbados they unveiled their flag on the 30th of November 1966 on their first Independence Day, and the flag is vertical stripes like the tricolor or the Canadian flag, blue on the sides, yellow, golden yellow down the middle, with a trident on it, a broken trident. And it represents the sea and the sky around their island. So as a kind of representation of your island nation, blue on either side with gold in the middle, that's perfect flag making right there. That's just brilliant. And we used to walk past the Barbados house. Remember that?
Now, where was it?
On the end of Museum Street.
Yes, it was too.
I assume it's still there. Actually, it probably isn't. It's probably become like a rubbish casino or something. But you'd always see the flag flying there. Yeah, also the trident that's broken off is to represent that on the Barbados's colonial badge, when they were a British colony, had Britannia holding the trident of Poseidon, and they've broken it off to symbolize breaking off from Britain. They've smashed the trident of Britannia that she nicked from Poseidon, and they've put it on their flag. I think that's a really good independence flag.
Once again, it was on my long list. Essentially, less for the colours and more for the trident, which I thought was a very satisfying trident.
Yeah, but the colours are great when you think about it as being an island in the sea. You know what I mean? With the gold sand,
Yeah, yeah,
it's really nice. And yeah, but with the trident, it's cool. It's a stylized trident, very cool in black. And apparently, the 3 points of the trident represent the 3 principles of democracy: government of the people, government for the people, and government by the people. I reckon they thought of that after they decided to put a trident on. Myself,
yeah. Again, I'm not knocking it. It was definitely on a long list. It definitely was in the initial. My initial wave was a lot,
yeah,
and I had to keep doing big purges to get it down. Um, often the things that went were things that were almost too similar to other things I liked
Hmm.
that made them less unique.
yeah, and you can be like,
So
okay,
that's
well, there's
the
a bunch like that. Which one's the best
yeah,
one? Yep.
yes, that's how I did it. My number 3 is Argentina, uh, which is 3 horizontal stripes of equal measure, I think, with pale blue ones at the top of bottom, with a white one in the middle. So it's quite simple, but it's a very nice pale blue. But what makes it stand out is at the center is a graphic of the sun of May, which looks like the sun that are in all the kind of Wicker Man things, which sort of appealed to
Very
me.
pagan
And it's
sun.
quite, yeah, it's a really wild looking sun, and it represents the Incan sun god. I also noticed when I was going through my list that the Uruguayan flag also has a son of May, but when I was whittling them down, their son of May isn't as good. That's what I'm saying. It's just not as good. Like Argentina's one have like smashed it, and the Uruguayan one is just like I see what they're doing. In a way, I would have quite liked them to have a chat, and maybe they could have gone, "Should we just have the same one?" But the fact they've both got the same thing they're trying to represent, it's just that one of them is aesthetically to me better because it's a bit more Wicker Man, a bit more pagan looking, and just has a slight. It just looks a bit cooler.
Yeah, I think the Uruguay one is great looking, but it's both inferior to Argentina's from a sun point of view, and inferior to
Mhm.
Greece's from a blue and white stripes with something in the top left corner.
Yeah.
You know, point of view. So yeah, Uruguay I think has to come behind on that one.
And also, I just think that pale blue's very nice. It's a
Absolutely.
really kind of lovely kind of powder blue color. I was very fond of it.
I think all football
It'd be nice
fans
even without the Son of May.
all
You
football
know, it would have
fans
been.
be like nostalgic or feel warm about the Argentina flag. I think, like, unless they're stupid nationalist England fans, but like, you know, the country that's given so many great footballers into the world in such great football kits based on that flag, you know, because they'll play in the blue and white stripes, vertical though, not horizontal. I wonder why they don't play in hoops like Queens Park Rangers. It would match their flag better, wouldn't it? But yeah,
If they had a nice big Son of May in the center of their chest,
yeah, they could go for
that'd
that.
probably make them more powerful
Yeah,
somehow. Yeah,
they've been quite powerful anyway. To be fair, in a football,
that's probably
but like,
why.
yeah,
Maybe
it's the
that's why.
pagan sun god looking after them.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Nepal. Now, Nepal is the world's only non-quadrilateral flag. It doesn't have 4 sides. It's an amalgam of 2 pennants, 2 triangles, known as a double pennon. The Swiss flag is a square, but that is not as exciting as a double pennon. Its crimson red is the symbol of bravery, and it also represents the color of the rhododendrons, Nepal's national flower. And you can think of those rhododendron covered mountainsides, you know, that people would make jigsaw puzzles of and, you know, write poetry about. While the blue border is the color of peace. Until 1962, the flag's emblems, both the sun and the crescent moon, had human faces, but they were removed to modernize the flag. Now, strictly speaking, I think that version with the faces is superior, but it's quite a small detail on a flag, unless it's a really big flag. But they're funny faces that they gave them. They've got a lot of character. So I'll definitely link that because it's a great flag, and I do think it's a shame that they're so. If I'm going to pick the pre 1962 Nepalese flag, I think for this one, but apparently during ancient times, almost all states in South Asia had triangular flags, and they've whereas everyone else has like, in the modern world,
Acquiesced.
just followed this kind of European tradition of rectangular flags. Nepal was stuck to their guns and is like, no, we've got a double triangle pennant flag, and I think that's fantastic. It's just a proper one-off in the world now.
I think it's a very wild looking flag. I would say this didn't even come up on my searches, as if the people trying to show me are also they're a bit prejudiced against the double triangle. It doesn't fit the format. They didn't even show it. They didn't even show it on my searches.
You can read books on the problem of European vexillological hegemony. It's a problem. So I haven't read books on it, but it's definitely a thing.
But you can.
And the colonial impact of flags, and that's why a lot of my favorite flags are post-colonial flags, where people have more recently had to reinvent what their flag's going to be from scratch, and they don't have they've got 200-300 years of 400 years of colonially interrupted national identity, or maybe they weren't even a nation before. So
I feel like if there was a country now that wanted to introduce a new flag and they just went for something in that shape when they unveiled it, I think people would be like, oh shit, what's that? I think it's got a lot of power.
The flags that have been made most recently are quite interesting, like the Macedonian flag as it currently is, and some of the former Yugoslavian ones and stuff. There's a lot of there's cool flags coming out. I think not many people now are like, let's do a really boring flag. There were some really boring flags post Soviet Union, really boring flags from that period. A lot of them featuring my worst flags.
The crescent moon is kind of interesting. It's crescent moon kind of on its side as the way we would imagine a crescent moon to be, with the sort of sun coming up above it.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't call that a crescent moon, really. I'd call it looks to me like a picture of an eclipse. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what
corona of an eclipse.
Yeah, exactly. To me, it also looks like, as a full shape, the whole thing looks a bit like. Do you remember in the Flintstones when Fred Flintstone would go to that lodge that was like a sort of Masonic lodge, and he'd have to wear those like big horned furry hat?
Yeah, dude.
It looks a bit like that to me. But this is very much like a Rorschach test of looking at shapes.
Yeah,
of what these things associate.
But it's probably one of the few flags interesting enough to be a Rorschach test.
Yeah, or even to have a Flintstones reference. There's probably very few flags I looked at that I immediately thought the Flintstones.
There's at least one with a dragon on. That's quite cool. Not a dinosaur.
At least one, yeah.
Yeah.
My number 2 is Benin.
Benin.
I would have thought it was Benin, right?
Right.
Except on the Chase the other day, while I was compiling this list in front of an episode of the Chase, as if by magic, Bradley Walsh, along with Paul Sinner, the Sinnerman, one of the answers to the question was Benin, and they both said Benin. I would have thought it would be Benin. But whether it is Benin or Benin, that is my number 2. And it's the simplicity of it. It is a green vertical stripe on the left-hand side, with a yellow and red horizontal stripes on the right. And it's so simple that it's sort of beautiful. It looks like a Mondrian painting.
That's what I was going to say. It totally does.
It's got that thing. So as a thing, it's got like, it's a flag, but I'm saying, oh, it's beautiful. And you go, yeah, it's beautiful because it looks like an actual work of art.
Yeah.
And it's so simple that, I mean, the guys in Benin could happily have that up on their wall in a print and just get away with it and just go, yeah, just got the flag on the wall. It looks great.
Yeah, it's a very unusual flag. I mean, it's because it's like a lot of African countries. It's got the red, yellow, and green, the African colors. You know, there's so many flags
Hmm.
with that combo, or some little emblem on there or something. But to of all the flags in the world, is it the only one? I'm not sure it's quite the only one. But to be like, we're gonna have two horizontals and one vertical is just, yeah,
Yeah.
it sort of blows your mind when you look at it as a flag.
Yeah, I think that's it. But it might well be the only one because it was so unusual and like it's very sort of stark and simple.
Yeah,
But it's really like, oh yeah, lovely, lovely piece of design. And it's also one of those colors of like having those kind of colors that are often used in comic books that make you have that sort of feeling to it as well. Very nice complementary colors: green, yellow, red, all of them at 100%. No kind of, there's no pale there. They're all kind of fairy block colors,
yeah.
very bright at their lovely stuff.
My number two was on your list already. It is the Seychelles. It's a fantastic flag. The Seychelles flag is great, and you spoke about it, and I talked about the political significance of it. But yeah, and I think it's amazing that such a stupid political reason to have those colors on the flag has ended up in such a beautiful flag. I mean, it's just a fantastic flag, isn't it? But they had, prior to that, like most colonies of Britain, a kind of something that incorporates the Union Jack, and they had the Union Jack with a laurel wreath in the middle. So,
I saw that. I saw that when I was looking it up.
and
Rubbish.
inside it, it has a palm tree, like a whole scene of the country with a palm tree and a crab and all this stuff. It's awful. It's just it's one of the worst colonial flags. Like, it's just stupid, and it's clearly made by someone who visited there once for a week and then returned back to Whitehall to design a flag. Awful. Just so I'm really glad for them that they have such a great flag now. You know, it's a bit of payback for being foisted with this awful colonial flag on them. So yeah,
Hmm.
love the Seychelles flag. I don't have a small one to wave around in my house, unfortunately. I would quite like a Seychelles flag.
It's good. Noted. Christmas. £1.50, you say, right?
If they've got them in Stanford, yeah.
Oh man, I hope I don't have to do a special order.
Price may have gone up because now they're in a, probably got to pay more rent now.
Oh man, what are we looking at? £2?
Don't know.
£3.50? Okay, we'll see.
Nah, £3.50
We'll
is
see.
out of order. I don't think so. Not possible.
My number one is Antigua and Barbuda.
Ooh.
It's lovely, and it is the description. I hope I can do it justice. I've written an inverted triangle with black, blue, and white within the triangle, with half a rising sun appearing over a blue band, as if the blue band is a body of water, flanked by two half triangles on either side that the triangle has formed, which are are they red? I think on either
Yeah,
side, is
the
it?
triangles are red, yeah. I've just looked it up to remind myself.
I would like when I saw it, I went, I would have that design on a t-shirt or something. I think it's a really lovely design that I don't even associate with like a flag. I just think it's a really pretty bit of design, which again feels like the whole thing of it also I thought felt like a sort of superhero
Yeah, it looks like
chest
Captain Marvel.
design.
It looks like Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it
and
does. It has
and the
that
way
sort
they
of
have
thing.
the red up the sides makes it look like that's like you're kind of you're busting through. It's like Superman pulling off his shirt and revealing
Yeah,
his Superman thing underneath. It's definitely got that look. I hadn't thought of it like that before.
it's a really nice looking. Well, I mean, I say really nice. It's the best one, and it's the sun. It both means the graphics mean you can see it as what it's meant to be representing, but you can also just see it as this thing that looks really cool.
Yeah, it's
And I think I could absolutely wear that on some sort of t-shirt, jumper, quite happily.
the only thing I don't like about, well, I'm not crazy about this flag, although I know what you mean. I
Hmm.
like it as a piece of design, but as a flag, I'm not sure. I don't like where the red meets the blue and clashes. That's always a problem with making flags. You're smashing colors next to each other that often
Hmm.
clash. But also, and I'm sure the black is significant, as it is on a lot of Caribbean flags, but it's a black sky with a blazing sun in it.
Sure.
That doesn't make a lot of sense to my eyes.
Yeah. Well, I suppose would you have had the water be white and the sky be blue? Although I wonder what that would have done to the color scheme on it.
Maybe have the sky white. No, but then it wouldn't fit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't love this flag. I do think it's a really interesting bit of design, and I think it would make a really good t-shirt or superhero costume. In fact, they should do it Antigua and Barbuda, man. You know, like
Yeah,
Captain Antigua and Barbuda would be a cool superhero.
absolutely.
Really cool. Would look good on a shield as well.
That would look really good on a shield.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure. I can see just from my Google image search that you can get it on a swimming costume, and that looks good too. That looks quite like a superhero costume anyway, because they are quite similar. In fact,
Sold.
yeah, yeah. Antigua and Barbuda dress, that is lovely. That is lovely. A red dress, so that it all, yeah, that's
That's how you do it.
the best flag dress I've seen. I think. Good one, and
Better than Jerry Halliwell's.
yeah, better than Jerry Halliwell's.
Okay.
We'll probably start seeing people wearing that Jerry Halliwell dress around town of the way rubbish 90s fashion is coming back. Like,
And nationalism.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But it'll be
the combination of the two.
it probably won't be Union Jack. It'll probably be a St George.
It's true.
It's weird how like 90s fashion's back in. You're like, oh yeah, I was into that at the time, and it's like, oh no, you mean all the worst stuff, rubbish, massive, lumpy trainers,
Lots of baggy stuff as well, which I
baggy
always
stuff
find
that
really
doesn't go in at the bottom. I'm not into it, man. Bring back pin rolls. Anyway, my number one, Gabon. Gabon is a classic 3 horizontal stripes. Think, Germany, Russia. But Gabon picks a lovely shade of green to go at the top. Lovely shade of green, which symbolizes the forest, which is one of the most important economic resources. Then it has a yellow stripe in the middle, right, which represents the equator, which runs through Gabon. And then it has a blue stripe at the bottom to represent the South Atlantic coast that they have, extensive coast. But the flag used to have a really narrow band of yellow in the middle to represent the equator, and it looked wrong. And then they evened it out so that all 3 parts are the same, and it looked perfect. And it's an unusual shade of green for a flag. It's a more, it's a less muddy green. It's a really nice, clean green, like a nice, tasty Granny Smith.
I wouldn't describe any of the colours as pale, but they've got a touch of something like
there's a touch of pastel in the yellow to make it.
There's a touch of pastel,
and then the blue,
touch of pastel in all of them.
The blue has a little touch of purple in it, like it's it's got a tiny bit of red in the blue, and they're just 3 lovely colours. It's like to me it looks like a made up flag, like not a real flag. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because the colours are too nice. Yeah, and I know next to nothing about Gabon except for Gabon's most famous person at the moment is Arsenal striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And so I feel warm towards Gabon because of that. And he will have the flag about the place and stuff and show off the flag. And I just think, yeah, that's a fantastic flag. I'd be very proud of my flag if I was from Gabon. I think it's great. And again, it's another post-independence from France type jazz, 1958, 1960 or something like that. That's like prime flag designing time, if you ask me. A lot of these best flag designs are from that period.
From which period?
50s and 60s, this kind of end of British and French colonial rule.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's a good period for a lot of design, so I guess it makes sense that you would have great flags of that era.
Yeah, I think that's true. I've got a shed load of honourable mentions.
Go for it.
Mexico, flying behind me. You know about the Mexican flag?
No.
So it's just a red, white, and green, a lot like Italy, but with slightly different shades, right?
Yeah.
But it has the Mexican coat of arms in the middle, and it's a golden eagle perched on a prickly pear cactus, eating a rattlesnake, right? And it's like this legend of Aztec legend that there was this sort of prophecy that if they saw an eagle on top of a prickly pear cactus eating a snake above a lake. That was where they should build their capital. Teotihuacan. I'm not good at Aztec names. And
Yeah.
that one.
Tetlin.
Anyway, that one.
Yeah.
And what's now Mexico City, right? And they had this, crazy story, myth that was important part of the national psyche, and they just smashed it on the middle of their flag. And so it's a flag with an eagle eating a snake on a cactus, which is a brilliant thing to have on a flag.
Mm-hmm. Antonio Banderas kisses the flag at the end of the film Once Upon a Time in Mexico. That's how the film ends, which I always quite like as a thing where it's like a
solid. Along with the Barbados one that I heard earlier, the 3 vertical lines flags, some good ones I think is a Canadian flag. I think it's really solid, just 2 colors, but it gets the maple leaf in and has a nice. Mm-hmm. It's the same as the Peru flag, but they have a national emblem in the middle as well. Nigeria, just green, white, green. Big fan of that flag. You see a lot of them around London, and it always looks great. It looks great to see like a whole street full of people with Nigerian flags. That looks great. Japan's flag, it's great.
Yeah,
very straightforward. Bangladesh is the same, but they picked the wrong colours.
Bangladesh is on my list, as was Algeria, but I kind of dismissed it because I didn't like the red green thing. But I do like that. I do like that kind of crescent moon star thing. It's nice, but the red and the green don't work.
I can't remember which it is. Is it Turkey and Morocco that are almost the same, but one is within a circle? Something like that. South Korea's flag is fantastic.
Was like the last one of my number 6.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and there's a lot of symbolism and stuff that the little shapes next to the
I think there's something like I don't know, maybe I feel like there's something like the sort of I Ching or one of those kind of things, and they're used a lot in the G.I. Joe and Action Force, but it's really unusual that flag because it's just the angles they're coming out, but it's gorgeous.
It's great.
Absolutely brilliant flag.
I think as a kid I saw
it really close.
As a kid I think I saw it as like a satellite, so it seemed like a really futuristic flag to me. And with the Olympics in 1988, to me, like the South Korean flag, that was when I first became aware of the South Korean flag, so the Olympics in Seoul. And to me, it was just like this kind of futuristic space flag. You know what I mean? Like it would be the flag of NASA or something. Big fan of the South Korean flag as a kid. Mauritius almost made my list. It's 4 colors, horizontal stripes, very bright colors. But ultimately, I like it less than Gabon's 3 colors because they're less nice shades. And it's not as spectacular as the Seychelles kind of burst of light from the corner. I think you've got to big up the Jolly Roger, the Scotland Crossbones. Yeah. There's a lot of great pirate flags when you start digging into Wikipedia and pirate flags, some really good ones. And the history of them is really interesting. I mean, I just don't understand the idea that you'd fly a flag to say, we're pirates, we're about to attack you. That's just, why would you bother? Why would you lose?
I guess it's a bit of a panic. Just makes people have a bit of a panic. On the other one, they've got there through the telescope. They're like, "Oh man!" They've already started panicking.
Yeah,
but they've put them on edge already.
It's like 400 or 500 years old. It's a cool flag.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. Somalia I had, which is sort of pale blue with a star in it.
Yeah, that is nice.
I like that. Others I had, like Micronesia, where it's just the 4 stars. I quite liked.
Yeah. Because it's 4 islands. Well, there's millions of
Indonesia,
them.
I quite liked. Indonesia is just red, white, horizontal line.
Yeah,
that's quite nice.
It's like a Poland flag.
It's almost too simple, though. I think it's like a bit like nice. I mean, some of those are almost some of the best ones you could do. I think almost the simpler the better. Cuba, that you've got nice one. The Congo, I had.
What's the Congo?
It's it's another one with a sash, but going in the other direction.
Oh, that's right.
Red with a gold kind of band.
Yeah.
Pale blue star top.
Yeah.
That's quite nice. Botswana.
Yep.
but it's sort of the black again. It's the black and the blue that don't really go. But that design would be better in different colors.
Mm.
If they nailed the colors, they'd be onto something.
Yeah, because I think a lot of countries are sort of stuck with some important colors that they have to incorporate into their flag that don't necessarily go together. You know what I mean? Like they'll have
Yeah.
colors for a reason, and yeah.
And the others I had, you've mentioned Barbados, Bangladesh. They were on mine as well.
I think
Top
another
flags.
one that is not a flag of a nation, but the rainbow flag that's
Yeah.
flown for LGBTQI plus, LGBT flag is great and it looks fantastic. And it's one of the flags you see flying most now. You know what I mean? People have it up in
Yeah.
windows and that kind of thing. And when it's Pride Day and everything, you'll see a lot. Even the supermarkets now just try and cash in and sell a bunch of like rainbow flag paper cups and like headbands and stuff. So it's everywhere and commercialized, but it's also a great flag, and the flag really matches the message
Mm.
of diversity and inclusion and all the
I thought of
colours
that.
of the spectrum.
I thought but then I thought, oh, I wonder if I'm opening myself up to other things I just don't know about, other flags that I'm not familiar with. So
Yeah,
that's why I thought I better stick with countries because
it's much
I think I
harder
might.
to find what are the non-country flags, because you can easily on the web find all the flags, or you can look at one of the many books that I might have around my house for the kids mostly, but because they're into flags
Right,
too.
yeah.
But
Are they
I
into
like
flags?
flag. Yeah, they're into flags. Sometimes they pick the flag book. Like, can we look at the flag book tonight instead of reading a story? And I'll be like, yeah, I suppose. Twist my arm. But yeah, it's the I think it's the main flag that you see around that is not the flag of a country, apart from perhaps the EU flag, which again is I think a good flag. The United Nations flag, that's a bit overcomplicated, I think. I've got some worst flags that I just wanted to mention.
Sure.
Georgia, which is a red cross, and in the four corners it has four more red crosses, just in case you didn't
I did
know
see
that they
this.
were a really, really
Yeah, I
Christian
did see this.
Orthodox country. Um,
Yeah.
it's it's like they've got the English flag, but with more crosses. Uh, I'm it's yeah. I mean, it's not. It's red and white. It's not. Yeah, no, I'm not a fan of the Georgian flag.
I saw that, yeah.
It's really new because it's post-Soviet, but it's like a redoing of a flag from long before. But it's from the era of the Crusades, so of course it was covered in crosses. I don't think it's that's not the moment you want to be reaching back to find your national emblem, if you ask me. Eritrea, which has it's a green
Oh
stripe and
yeah.
a blue stripe horizontally with a red triangle over the top and an emblem of some sort of a plant and a wreath, and the colors just don't go, not good, don't like it.
I would say that's one that to me looks like a football kit. It's like I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
That feels like it's very sort of football kit colours.
it looks to me like if you see people playing football in the park and they're wearing the top of one team and the shorts of another team. Do you know what I mean? Like they're wearing like Brazil shorts but with like a Millwall top or something,
Yeah.
No, I'm not a fan of
Yeah.
that.
Nice.
I think probably
No.
the biggest crime against flag making that's currently in the books is the Central African Republic, which has horizontal stripes blue, white, green, yellow, and then up the middle of the horizontals has a vertical red stripe, and then it has a gold star in the top left corner. It's
Yeah, it's
it's
awful.
way too busy, and it's like
Oh, that's horrid.
so it's got red, white, and blue for its colonial masters, France, right? Then it's got red, green, and yellow, the Pan African colours, and they both share red. So they've gone, red is on both of them. So let's put that on the opposite axis. No, don't do it. There's a reason why you're the only flag like that. Because everyone else who tried it went, that looks
Ugh,
rubbish. Terrible flag
horrible.
design. And the yellow star in the corner as well is like, this didn't need more busyness.
Mm.
Central African Republic, I'm sorry, not a fan. But the worst flag in the world, in my opinion, like
Mhm.
that's bad design, but the worst flag, in my opinion, is the Armenian flag because it has red, horizontal stripes, red, blue, and apricot. And the apricot color is awful. It looks like it. So whenever you see the flag, it looks like it's been like in the window of a shop and
Mhm.
faded. it just looks the wrong color. Like, well, that's obviously not the color you intended. It's like, no,
Right.
that is. We had this kind of like milky orange color.
Yeah. It's in that way that if you were trying to put anything together, like all those colors bleed into each other. There's no they don't
Yeah, the
they
red
don't
and the blue
exist on
looks
their own. They're
darker
just
red
like
and a dark blue. It's indistinct. Oy. I mean, like I said, a lot of these countries are saddled with the colours that are their national colours, and they've got to do something with them. And I mean, the Union Jack is one of the worst flags in the world as well, in my opinion. It tries to do way too much. It ignores Wales. You know, it's just a big mess. I don't. I'm really not a fan. I've always avoided Union Jack, even when supporting Britain in sporting things or something. But I have to admit, like there is pictures of me from the 2012 Olympics when I was at the stadium for the Super Saturday when Mo and Jess and Greg all won their gold medals, and I was sat right near the front, and it was amazing. And I did have a flag then. I took a picture of me with the flag draped around it, and I think probably in the whole span of my life, that'll be the only time when you'll see me with a Union Jack draped around me. Probably because it won't be our flag anymore in a few years, but it was the only time when I've been so overcome with sort of like
what would you like to see
pride.
as our flag? What are the kind of elements you might like to see?
Well, whose flag? Of Britain? I'm not very United Kingdom.
I guess you're right. Yes, you're right because it probably won't be.
United
You'll just
Kingdom,
have to have like.
England.
Mm,
I'd go for a competition. Most of the favorite flags were 20th century competitions designing a new flag.
yeah.
I mean, New Zealand had one the other year. Do you remember that? New Zealand had a
What's
competition
their
to
one?
design a new flag.
Oh, really? I didn't.
And they chose a winner, and then they had a vote on it, and everyone decided to stick with the current one. So they didn't change their flag. It was much more like the All Blacks logo with the fern, the white fern on a black background. It was kind of a
Right.
variation on that, like a national plant, and so they picked the winner and everything, and then they were like, oh, we have to now ratify it by everyone voting for it, and everyone went, no, I'll just stay with the current one. So there'd be a few more years before New Zealand get theirs. But in general, I think competitions are good. You might get a great designer designing it, or you might just get some normal person who's had a good idea. So yeah, I'd be fine with that. It's more which country is it going to be the flag for? I don't know. A crazy one. I would have, just pick something from British history that you can be proud of, like stovepipe hats or something. Just have a big stovepipe hat on a flag, something like that. A stovepipe hat with all arrows coming out of it to represent sort of invasion, something like that. But just it's off the top of my head. I haven't worked it out, but I'll give it some more thought.
But if anyone's got any favourite flags that we haven't included, I feel like they might be criticised. But it's thinking it. What we're talking about is subjective, although some opinions are more correct than others. I think
Yeah, I mean, I don't
when it
really
comes
like
to
your number
design.
one. I just not really. But I mean, please let us know of fictional flags because it's really hard to think of fictional flags or look fictional flags up. Like there's a fictional flag like for Animal Farm. They do a kind of I think that's a kind of a hoof and a not a sickle. That might be a crescent moon. I can't remember, but they have like a white hoof on a green background or something. Like there's a lot of books where they'll have The Handmaid's Tale. Gilead has a flag, but it's a pretty hideous sort of Illuminati pyramid with an eye over a kind of stars and stripes type thing. So it definitely wouldn't make anyone's top flags. But I mean, I'm into that thing of making up flags. But when you make up a flag, it just generally doesn't look convincing. It just looks like a made up
Hmm.
flag. Although we don't mostly think about flags, that there's a thing that makes up a flag that makes them look like a real flag. And yeah, I'm
Yeah,
into it.
I mean, some of the real flags don't look like real flags.
That's
Like
definitely
some
true.
countries have flags where you go, I mean, that's not even a proper flag, mate. You got to try harder.
Yeah, Central African Republic. I'm interested. I mean, it's interesting to me that there is no flag in the world that is just one flat color. Like a lot of
Yeah, a
a
bit
lot of a
bold.
lot of Muslim countries come close by just having green, but with something on it, right? Like they'll have a sun on it, or they'll have like Saudi Arabia has some writing on it, you know, that kind of thing, sword or something. But yeah, at some point, someone's going to go back to having just a one color flag and be like, yeah, we own that color. We own that color.
What's that colour?
Even the USSR, China, they never were bold enough to just go full one color. Anything else on flags?
No, I think I'm flagging.
Good. Yeah, I've already done that one. You can't have that one. I'm going to edit
The
yours out.
flagging.
Leave mine in. There's a good flag in The Great Dictator. He makes a kind
Oh
of
yeah.
that with this two crosses. So it's like it makes you think. It makes you think of a Hakenkreuz, of a swastika, but it's very much not. But it's that thing of like it suggests to your brain the same thing.
Yeah, it's a nice looking one.
I thought it was interesting what you said when you were talking about the Albanian flag, like about eagles and stuff. And it's like the eagle in Germany. The eagle isn't seen as an artsy thing. You know, they still have eagles. They had the eagle on the German flag post war. You know, they only don't have it since reunification. So it's like the eagle to them is seen as like, no, this is an unsullied patriotic thing, you know. But I think you're right. I think over here and in lots of countries you see it as like, oh, that's a bit sinister because the Nazis did use it. And I think that's the thing for a lot of countries is that their flag, what it means to them, very different around the world. So so the Union Jack still means a lot of oppression to countries which used to have it literally plastered on their own flag and still have it. You know, this is why New Zealand were trying to move away from it, try and get something new, and they couldn't quite manage it. You know, and I think Australia have conversations about switching their flag to the Aboriginal flag. And do you remember when Kathy Freeman won the Olympic medal and flew the Australian flag along with the Aboriginal flag? Might not have registered for you, but it was like huge news, you know?
Yeah, I probably just wouldn't have watched it because it was sport. But like, sure.
You might have watched the news that night. But
maybe.
Yeah, like there's flags are a big deal. Burning flags can be a crime. Flag fan, definitely. Give us a shout if you're a flag fan. I'm guessing not that many people.
I think this is good. I think it's been a good one. Flags. I'm flagging it up now. I can't
keep using the same.
I'm gonna run it up. I'm gonna run it up the flagpole and see who salutes it.
Now we're getting somewhere. Yeah.
Flying a flag at half mast.
Yeah.
To something, you know.
I don't know. We're gonna have to do some penance after all these bad jokes, but
please, if you've enjoyed it, please share it, like it, give us a review, comment about anything you'd like us to do. If you're upset about our flag content,
yeah, and if you didn't like it, send us better ideas to do for other stuff because we'll do them once.
I think this is a good one.
Oh, I liked it. Obviously, I liked it. Love a flag.
Yeah.
Adios. We'll give you a wave, a wave like a flag. Bye.
Bye bye.